I wanted to be able to compete at 100% rather than give 50% and be injured even more. Like it wasn't really worth the risk. Even now I'm still injured with it, but I'm working through it, and I'm conditioning it a lot, and I just didn't really have that opportunity to do so at that current point.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Stance Elements. I'm ChazB, I am your host, and with me today I've got Kid Karam from Smack 19 and Youngsters Crew out of England. How you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. Very good. Very busy right now, which is always good, but I'm feeling good, man. How are you?
All is well, thank you very much. I was about to say you're active. We see on your Instagram there's always something going on, and the first thing I want to do is congratulate you on this Nike deal. It is
Thank you,
incredible what has happened. So can you tell us how that deal came about and what sort of relationship you guys have moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's a huge deal. It's incredible. Like this stuff's kind of unheard of in the breaking scene until sort of now, I guess. My management was working alongside me, and in contact with Nike for a little bit of a while, trying to build a bit of a relationship to see where things could go, what the possibilities were, what we could do. And then eventually I ended up getting they directly contacted me actually through one of my media platforms, and wanted to discuss further. And so obviously we did just that. I left it in the hands of my management, and we came to an agreement, and here I am today with this great Nike deal. But it's a really great relationship actually. It's not one of those where it's stressful. It's not one of those where I have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm completely in control of it, and for the first time in my life I feel like I'm working with such a big brand, and the key part of that is that I'm working with them rather than for them, which is really dope, because breaking is urban. Breaking is what we do. Breaking's a lifestyle, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I love Nike. Nike is my favorite sports brand. It's probably my favorite brand of all time. So for them to contact me, it was a blessing. And obviously coming up in the breaking scene, you see, the bait ones, the Nike, Adidas, Puma. So for me, it's natural. I don't have to do anything other than what I do. Rep Nike, be fresh. They help me out with that. So it's so blessed, man.
Like as you said, we're always wearing Nikes. There's more dancers that are wearing Nike, but there are other brands that are maybe at the forefront in our culture. It's usually like Adidas and whatnot. So what is their interpretation of this? Like what are they expecting from you?
I just think that they're expecting to take over, really. And I know that it's not necessarily just with me, because if people are working hard, they're going to get those opportunities. Luckily, I was the first one, or the most blessed one, or to be where I am today, obviously with this great deal. But I think that obviously with breaking going into the Olympics, people are doing their homework. Brands, other companies, there's so many people doing their homework, and people see this. It's attractive, And I think that with Nike, they're probably the greatest brand for what they do. They have the greatest athletes, they have the greatest artists. And I think that they just wanted to get ahead with that. So not even just that, I think there's going to be so much more sort of coming this year and in the years to come, not just with myself, but other people in the scene and stuff like that. I think that it's new to them. Of course, it's new to them. It's also new to us in terms of the Olympics, in terms of being an athlete as such. But there's so much room for things to happen. So right now we're just taking it as it goes. But once we've got that path, man, it's takeover time for them and for me. So yeah.
It's amazing that they're investing in not only just the scene, but the right people in our scene as well. And you might have heard this over the years, but like there seems to be an issue with bigger corporations coming into our scene as if they're completely outside of our culture, and I'm not sure exactly how much money they've put into the culture, if at all. I'm unaware of that, but considering that the majority of people would see Nike as outside of the culture in terms of activity, like what is your reaction to these larger corporations that are wanting to come in and to work with us? Is this something that you're excited about?
I personally am quite excited about it. Because I want to be the best. I want to have the best opportunities. I want to work with the best people. I want to have something to represent, because that's why I started breaking. I wanted to feel like I was a part of something. But I think it just needs to be done in the right way. Like there's a lot of corporations that come into a scene or come into a dance or come into some sort of art where they don't really have a clue. And so they want the artist or the dancer to work for them rather than work with them. Whereas with this deal that I have with Nike, it's so blessed because I'm, like I said, I can't really say too much, but there's a lot coming for dance in general with Nike, a lot coming with breakers in general for Nike. But they're working with me, you know, there's no stress on my end. I can take my ideas to them. They give their ideas to me and we just try and work things out. I think it just has to be right for people, you know. I've worked a lot for so many companies and I've been in them experiences where I feel like I've just been drained and just been rinsed for my talent and what I can bring to them. But I think it's blessed. I think I'm happy to be a part of almost anything that's going to be beneficial to me. But I think you just have to be careful and just make sure you've got the right people around yourself to deal with the insides and the outsides. For example, I have my management, which is very good, very blessed, involved in the breaking scene as well. So it's all good on this side. So just make sure, like, if a company is sort of approaching you, just make sure you're doing the right things and they're representing you just as much as you're representing them.
Yeah, this is encouraging news, bro. And when you're talking, and actually the last thing I'll ask about this, if that's okay, when you're talking about like working with them instead of working for them, a lot of people just think that like it's only about education, that it's our responsibility to educate them about the ins and outs of the scene. I mean, is that a part of you working with them, like letting them know how things are done, the fashion, the attire, like everything along those lines?
Yeah, definitely. I think now they have much more of an understanding. Obviously, they came to me having done their homework, of course. With the Olympics, it's such a massive thing. Like I said, this is so attractive because it's so new, it's so refreshing, it's so urban. Like people want to get involved in that. So they've definitely done their homework to some extent. But I had a lot of meetings with them, a lot of sort of conversations, just to explain things to them how it works for us, because again, obviously they wanted to know how it works. They want to know how they could work with myself and how they can work with the breaking scene in general. So it's definitely had a lot of those conversations, even just my influences as a b-boy, what I like to do, just so that I have the right things for myself. So they're a great company, man. It's probably the best company I've ever worked with as well. And I've worked with a lot of brands and stuff, and I'm not just saying that because it's my partnership, it's my sponsorship. Just generally because I feel like I'm a part of them. Yeah.
And when you're saying that there's more brands, more corporations looking at the Olympics, they're looking at the youth appeal that breaking has, not only the youth appeal, but just relating to younger audiences. You know, we had the WDSF event last year in France. We had the main event. Yeah. Obviously, there were qualifiers all over. We were at the UK one. You won the UK qualifier, and then unfortunately you were nowhere to be seen at the main event. So can you just talk to us? I know there's a lot wrapped up and a lot involved, so could you just walk us from the GB qualifier in October time in 2021 all the way up to the main event in France and everything that went on?
Yeah, man, for real. So like I think like the GB trials was dope. I really enjoyed it. Of course, it's more enjoyable when you do win and you take a win as comfortably as I did on that day. I think it was a big one for me personally because obviously I went through a lot last year, not just in terms of injury but personal stuff as well. And I had a lot of doubt in my breaking. I wasn't really the most confident. Even on the day, like I was really scared, not of other people, but just of hitting my stuff. And so it was a really big win for me, especially like I didn't drop a vote the day, like a single vote, like a round or whatever. And that, like, to me, to watch that back, I'm like, I've got this, man. It was a massive boost for me because although it's nice to be doing things and have these opportunities and do these great things, like you have to get in the water and you have to swim. Like you have to know that you're still capable and what you've got, because on the battlefield is where we really prove it. And I felt like that was my first solo jam actually in a year since BC won the year before. So it was a big one for me. So I had a massive boost from that. I can't lie. Because the week after that, I ended up going to Just Jam, which is one of the jams I've always wanted to win. I did it with my best friend Kelvin, but I just went into that jam like, I'm not losing this week. Like after winning GB trials, I was like, I'm not losing. There's no way I'm losing. No one's taking me out this week. Like I'm killing everyone. Like I just had such like not necessarily cocky, but I was so confident and so ready for anything. And I've never felt as good as I did on that day. So it was a massive boost for that, really. And then at Just Jam, I ended up taking the win at Just Jam again. It was a dope jam. And I think like on the day, like I pulled my groin. like quite badly. But you know, when you're doing your battle, you don't really feel it. And I was okay after it. I thought I'd give myself a couple of days off, and it just never really came back in. It's just been strained like ever since. Even still now, it's still strained. But I went to the GB. We had a GB breaking camp like start of December or end of November. I can't exactly remember. It was just before Paris, the WDSF World Finals, and it was more like it was a great camp, to be honest. But it was a lot of conversations, a lot of different things involved just to establish where we are, where we need to be, and what we want as athletes for GB. But it was really stop-start, and I think that I might have done something a little bit worse to it at that point. And so that was the week before Paris, and I couldn't train. Like it was just cold. Like it just didn't feel right for me. And because of the way I've been pushing last year, the run that I've been on, the expectations that people have, the expectations that I have as well. I wanted to be able to compete at 100% rather than give 50% and be injured even more. Like it wasn't really worth the risk. Even now I'm still injured with it, but I'm working through it, and I'm conditioning it a lot, and I just didn't really have that opportunity to do so at that current point. But yeah, and the World Finals was a dope event. It was actually maybe beneficial more for me to sit on the sidelines and watch than it was to actually compete.
All right. In what ways?
Because you can see it from an outside perspective. Some of the things that I was like, some of the things that you see, or some of the things that you sort of take note of, some of the things that you have to be aware of, you can't always do that when you're battling, because you're in your zone and you're thinking about what's next and what you've done before. And so it was nice to see that, like how the competitions are set up, the day structure, how they're going to be, how many rounds that are needed, what I need to, like it's crazy. It's so cutthroat, and it was eye opening, definitely.
Yeah, this is the thing that maybe people don't understand about the media side of things. It's interesting you talk about the outsider's perspective. For a lot of people that look at the media at these events, that the media in a way act as the outside perspective, because that's the message to the rest of the world. It's like you let the dancers do their thing first. Like as you said, you're in your zone. You're not even thinking about all the other things that the event themselves are thinking of. And then the media have their responsibility as well. They have their responsibility to sort of take everything in and find the best way to package that for the rest of the world. And it's a good thing that you said that you get a completely different outlook to the event if you're sitting on the side and watching it go down, rather than like being fully immersed in it. But leading on though, you weren't able to compete, and I think you were the only person that day in France that wasn't able to compete. So if you could just talk a little bit about maybe your emotions that day, your whole weekend there, and just a couple of things that you witnessed.
Yeah, like emotionally, I was really drained. Like I was really sad, because I don't like letting people down, especially the rest of the team, of course, the rest of the country, because like it was like 50-50 of whether I was going to be able to do it. But I just woke up on the day and I just wasn't feeling right. It's really long days. Well, this specific event was a 1-day event. I believe like in future it's going to be 2 days, but it was a super duper early start. Like we was like leaving the hotel to the venue at like 8:30 in the morning, ready for like qualifications. And then obviously you do your qualifiers, and there's a top whatever, and then you've got like I think it was 8 groups of 4, and you've got people like Victor, Alkalil, and Little G all in the same group, but only one of them could make it. Or Sugar Kicks and Phil Wizard, like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like it was crazy to actually sit and watch it. Like myself personally, obviously I like to compete. I don't really like to sit and watch battles at all, like, to be honest, because I'm always like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have potentially took this, I could have done this today. Like the form that I've been on, like I was really feeling it. So I was quite gutted, to be honest, about it. But at the same time, I know that I made the right choice, because if I did mess myself up any further and I gave like a rubbish show, it wouldn't have been really beneficial for me. So it was nice to just sort of sit back and relax and just sort of take things in. I mean, I just took the positives away from it, I think. But like some of the things that you take away, like you need at least 17 rounds if you want to win that gem. 17 to 20 rounds. Like you sort of pick up on what people are judging and what people are looking for, who's making it, stuff like that. And like I said, I just don't think I would have been able to take that in the same way if I was in competition mode.
Because it sounds like you're saying if you tried anyway, you would have maybe half-assed it. Like knowing what I know of you and knowing what we've seen of you, people could probably tell that there was something up, and then maybe you would
Yeah,
look back on that and think, oh well, I wasn't too happy with the way that I danced that day, and then it might not work out as well for you in the long
yeah.
run. And in terms
In
of
the long
injuries
run,
and stuff, like just rest up,
yeah.
man.
Well, not just injuries. I mean, people are watching as well. And as you say, like, you know me, I'm 100 or nothing. Like, I like to go like with everything and give my all for competitions. At least then I can take something back from that. I just don't think it was beneficial for me to go there and not be able to do what I want to do, because I can't really take much away from that. So I think I took in the instance in the where I was with the injury and stuff. I think, yeah, I had more to benefit from by just observing what was going on.
Of course. And then moving forward into 2022, the last thing that I want to ask you is, obviously you're still nursing up. You are still dancing. We do see you sharing media of your training this year, but where do you see your 2022? How long do you think it will take for the groin to heal up? And what events can we expect to see you in this year?
I think maybe like a week or two they'll be healed. Is the thing. The thing with it now is that I can do things comfortably. It's just when I'm finished training, it starts to ache a little bit. So it's just sort of conditioning it. So hopefully ASAP. But I just want to smash it this year. Honestly, I just want to go to all the relevant events that I'm supposed to be at. Whether it's I want to make BC1 finals this year. Again, I want to do myself justice there, because I want to make up for last time. I want to go to all the big events. I want to go to Outbreak, of course. I want to go to any of the qualifiers that are to do with the Olympics, because I really want to push myself. I feel like last year I found myself and my style a lot more. Like I said, the events that I did do last year it was very minimal because of all the COVID situation, but I managed to take the wins at those, and every single one I came back positive, and I just looked at them knowing what I could do to get to the next level, and I'm so hungry for that. Right now, I feel like for a few years I didn't really know what I wanted, and I was just sort of drifting around because I didn't have any goals. But now I think I really just know what I want, and I just want to keep on growing on many different aspects through my media, through everything. And I just want to keep leveling up as a b-boy. I want to go to all the big jams and hopefully take some major wins this year, man.
That's amazing. And I really hope that all works out well for you, man. Thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure to be talking to you. And I
You
really hope
too,
to
man.
see you soon, bro.
Definitely. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.